Mike Radoor, welcome to the show. How are we today?
Now I'm good.
Yeah.
Now I'm good. Thank you for having
I
me.
appreciate you having me and being here as well. It's funny, Dubai is like the day where you often see sunshine and rainbows. Today is sandstorm, so
Yeah, rainy days in Dubai.
Yeah, foreign.
No, but it's good, man.
Yeah.
It's
I actually
good.
enjoy it. I do miss the UK a little bit
Come
from
on,
that.
man.
It's a nice cold
But you
breeze.
British people, man, you always complain about the fucking weather.
If it's good,
You
it's
gotta find
bad.
something to complain about. No, it's raining. Oh, no, it's too sunny.
Tax. Hey, let's. I was going to say we met just almost 2 weeks ago now, almost from the event, and I think a lot of people that was actually at the event were actually testament from the talk, the man you are, and I kind of wanted to uncover the veil. For you, I kind of want to dive into a question which I know you'll probably speak from the heart quite a lot of is.
Damn, you speak fast.
Too much caffeine, eh? That's how it is. For you, from your experience of working with high-performing men and generally men over the last few years, why do men self-sabotage?
$1 million question. The main reason why they self-sabotage is because they have something from their childhood that was normal. So they're really good in business because they are probably caught up with the belief that they have to perform to be loved. And their business is their way of getting worth into the world, right? So they're good in business. So they probably didn't feel loved in a unconditional way as kids, and they probably felt like they had to perform for getting love from their parents or getting accepted from their friends. So that's number one. So they focus all of their energy on that. And when they saw, high functioning men, why are they not functioning in their private life? Well, again, if they put all of their worth into their business, the rest is not so important in their mind. But it's also self-sabotage is literally just an old frozen memory in your mind of what normality is. Here is my example. My first girlfriend, I think I was 16 or 17. And I broke up with her 10 times. She was a lovely girl.
Yeah.
And I broke up with her over and over again, and I came back to her. Broke up and came back, broke up and came back. It's not until lately, when I started on this journey, I started thinking about all my relationships and why was it that I always fucked it up? Why was it that I always broke up and came back together? Why was it that I always cheated? Why was that? Now, here comes self-sabotage into the picture, because when I grew up, my mom and dad had a dysfunctional relationship, and the way that I looked at them became my normal. So as soon as my relationships, they became too good, my subconscious didn't feel familiar. So I did actions to make it feel like what I thought a relationship should be. Even though that I consciously knew that I don't want to cheat. It's not an excuse. I don't want to fuck it up. I don't want to have a dysfunctional relationship, but I felt more familiar in that. So I felt better even though it was painful. So that's self-sabotage. Could also be that you don't feel worthy. Like you don't feel worthy. So for example, if you come in a very good shape or you're about to be in your best shape, you can only manage to be in that shape for, 3-4 weeks, and then you fuck it all up again. You start to eat like shit. You start to just gain all the weight back. Why is that? That is because inside of you, you already have a picture. It's called your self-image. Just like we think in pictures and movies, and every company has their brand identity. Coca-Cola, you can see it in your mind. McDonald's, you can see it in your eyes. You also have a self-image, an image of who you are. And that stems from, all your belief systems. And if that person was not ripped in your mind, well, then that's not your normal. So self-sabotage is a little bit like it's a self-destructive pattern to get you back to your normal. So just like a thermostat, if the living room gets a little bit too warm, it gets it back to normal. If it gets too cold, it heats it up to normal. So that's self-sabotage.
There's a very good book, I think it's from Gay Hendricks, The Big Leap. Have you seen that?
No.
It kind of dives into the upper ceiling, how, and what you said there about the relationship side of things, it literally speaks to me today, because I've got a ring on my finger now, but it was stopping starting. It was like around COVID years. And my main thing was because, and I kind of had to do a lot of deep work to dive into why I was sabotaging. When things got good, I'd almost make them worse to then get back to good again. Same again in shape. I've been in shape and out of shape so many times that I can't even remember now. And it was because there was an upper ceiling associated where things can only get so good, where if they get that good, then it's like, I need to create a problem and go solve it.
It's unnormal.
It's the familiar hell rather than the unfamiliar heaven, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So you can say you consist your identity and so your self-image, your identity and action consists of your non-negotiables, your life principles, your life values, and your standards to yourself. And all of these together construct habits. All right. So if your standards in your subconscious, which is where all your memory deeply ingrown is, if your standards are not, when you are in a top shape, that's not your standard.
Yes.
Now you have stretched it. So you feel pressure being in that shape. It's difficult for you. It's difficult not to eat the candy. It's difficult. You have to use a lot of power in your frontal cortex to resist the temptation of going back to normal. So that's your identity in action. And that has an imprint of, that could be 30 years old, right? So your self-image. Yes. And that's also why who you hang around with, they have such a big impact on you. So if you hang around with people who drinks, takes drugs, cheats on their wives, whatever, that becomes over a period of time becomes your normal. So their standards become yours, their values become yours, their principles become yours, their everything.
Yeah, it's like you hang around the barbershop long enough, you'll eventually get a haircut, right?
Yeah, but then you have foundationally since you were a kid. So since you are 0 to 6 years old, you're like a clean slate of paper, and all the authorities around you, they are the ones who are having the biggest impact on you, because they're the one who really puts in your identity inside of you, that they really make an imprint for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
That's why, give you a good example. I grew up, we didn't have much money, classic story. We didn't have much money. My dad is mentally ill with paranoid schizophrenia, right? So that's one of the worst ones. But he was always very cheap on his money. He was very flipped and cost every coin because he couldn't make the money for us. So I remember 1.5, 2 years ago when I started this journey on my, my inner journey, and I started to make a little bit of money again. And you have to understand, I came from millions.
Yeah.
And then I started to make a little bit of money again, and I wanted to order sushi. I wanted to reward myself with some sushi. And while I'm ordering this sushi, and I literally just made, I think I made 10K from a consultancy job. Yeah. I'm ordering sushi for, what do I know, $70.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I just almost got anxious. I could hear my dad's voice. That's too expensive, man. That's too expensive. That doesn't make any rational sense. It's not rational, it's emotional. So that's an imprint I have from him. So I come from scarcity. So I'm struggling a lot with scarcity. So when I get too much money, I worry too much. It's almost like I don't want them, even though I want them. You understand that? That's self-sabotage.
The analogy you use there makes a lot of sense, because it's like, this is what you're familiar with. And it's like you have to reprogram the way you think about the situation. And I think you said it really well, where it's when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change as well.
Everything is perspective. People ask me, how did you become so disciplined? Right?
Yes. Yeah.
Then I asked them back. I can ask you, I think you heard it on stage, but let's just do it for the podcast. Discipline, is that a skill or choice?
It's a choice.
Okay. Consistency, skill or choice?
Choice.
Kindness?
Choice. 1,000%.
Gratitude?
Choice.
All right. Do you agree with me that we can only make our choices based on the perspectives we hold?
1,000%.
So if you want to become more disciplined, what do you need?
Change your choices and change your perspective.
Change your perspective.
Yeah.
So everything is a perspective change. Everything in life is a perspective change. There is not, the world is not as it is. It is as you are.
Yeah.
So, and you are constructed throughout years full of perspectives. So that's why you and I can walk into the same situation. I can shit my pants and you can be cool.
Yeah.
Because my perspective to it. Right?
100%.
Which is why we have a very famous fairy tale author, H.C. Andersen, The Little Mermaid, right? He said, to travel is to live. And what he meant there was every time you travel, you broaden your perspective.
Yeah.
So if you've been in Africa where people fight for water and people sleep on the floor and you slept on the floor, you've been fighting for water, now coming home where you have a bed and you have water and you're so grateful for that. Right?
Yeah.
But when you live with it all the time, you just take it for granted.
Yes.
Perspective is everything.
I remember kind of looking into it, because I had a friend of mine that used to work in charity for the homeless, and he's telling me all these stories how you have to literally reprogram the way they think about themselves in their life. So like in that scenario, like I'm not going to say this is fact checked, but this is kind of really interesting to look at, is if they get taken away from, let's say, the streets in the UK and they get taken to a shelter, they're like, oh, I want to go back home. That's their home in that scenario. And for them, is because they're familiar with it, and home is where familiarity is at, and that's where people feel at peace, which is quite.
Yeah, but why is that? So that's the question. So I'm the why guy. So I was why is that?
That's the kind of big question
Right.
I'm still looking to answer.
Why
yeah.
is that? So I had to go all the way back to human evolution. So I even remember 4 or 5 years ago when I had a podcast in Denmark, we invited a lady in that was an expert in human evolution. And she told us, and she'd been writing a book that's 2,000 pages, a long fucking book. So she was an expert. So she said, listen, your brain, my brain, our brain, everyone's brain, 2026, stems from the same race, Homo sapiens, right? We are Homo sapiens, and our brain has not moved almost a percentage. It's still the same.
Yeah.
And if you look at the environment 200,000 years ago versus the environment today, a lot of stuff had happened. You know, we have never been in a more convenient and comfortable environment. And our brains, they are not used to all that shit. But there is one big thing. The reason why we can sit and talk right now and people can watch us talk is because our ancestors had survival mechanisms. And one of the biggest one we have is seek towards familiarity. So we are pleasure and comfort seeking beings because that meant survival. That's why it feels so comfortable to eat food. It feels so comfortable to drink water. It feels so comfortable to sleep secured. It's just, we can't explain why it feels like that.
Yes.
But we feel safe, right?
Yeah.
Good. So that's comfort and pleasure. Now, if you have a brain that has a survival mechanism that seeks towards familiarities, doesn't matter what rough environment you have grown up in, that is your basic. That is where you feel home. So here you can do the comparison. If you grew up in a stressful family pattern, if you don't work with this shit, you're gonna create a stressful family pattern in the future because this is your home.
Yeah, that's the powerful way to look at it. Is like, I remember someone said to me, and like this kind of like from because I never really had a dad figure. He's always been a single mom, and it's always been a stance where you're either the exact same as your parents or the total opposite, and it's your choice, like you mentioned as well, which is
No, you never become the total opposite. It's bullshit. It's bullshit.
Let's know more.
You are going to want to become the total opposite, but you are not. You're going to have so many things that you are not aware about. I'll give an example. So when I first time took so many steroids that I became a huge motherfucker, I became aggressive. Like I got aggressive. I could snap off people. And I didn't see it.
Yeah.
And one of my best friends said, Mike, you got to chill with that fucking steroids there. What do you mean? What do you mean? And I couldn't see it because in me, it just felt normal. So I didn't know whether I was changing. So same thing, we have ways of emotional protecting ourselves, emotional reactive patterns or escapism. We have different vices that our parents had. And even though we want to be different from them, we have stuff from them.
Yeah.
So that's why when I started working on this, I called it the dog shit. My current identity, I just called that's the dog shit.
I remember you telling me that.
Because I need to stop that motherfucker. So I had to, instead of being busy putting new stuff in my mind, I had to remove the dog shit because this one would always be there. So I could put honey on it, but it's still dog shit underneath. So actually the best weapon against self-sabotage is just stop accepting the person you don't want to be. So figure out who you don't want to be and just be busy stopping that person. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Do you feel like, because there's a whole thing where some people need to hit rock bottom to change, and sometimes things can need to get worse before they get better. Do you agree with that statement? And also,
100%.
what do you feel like, whether we relate to vices or kind of like killing off your older self that isn't serving you, what do you feel like is what triggers people to change?
Pain. Pain is the biggest catalyst for change.
But let's say someone's in pain, but still not enough. Is it because the pain's
Fucking pain.
Gotcha.
Like I can't live like this anymore. Pain. Because if they're used to a certain pain, then they like it.
Yeah.
No pain. Pain where you just is this enough?
Yeah.
So when you had enough of stuff, that's when you move. So you can either hit rock bottom that path, but people tend to rather want to live in misery because it's familiar.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So the first step to change is awareness. To become aware of what's going on, become aware of what is costing you, become aware of, the consequences. And then rage, get fucking angry and do not accept that. That's the formula to real change.
There's the frequency laws, I'm sure you're familiar, where it's like enlightenment, there's purpose, there's gratitude, there's the guilt, and there's anger beyond that as well. So I'm
Think about David R. Hawkins. the map of consciousness.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So like the kind of like from that angle is more like I've always tried to like use that as a reference chart as like, right, I feel guilty. Let's get angry about it and let's solve this issue. Or let's kind of have some, again, more purpose to obviously bring myself more to enlightenment.
Yeah, that sounds so easy. You know, it's not that easy, because if you have a I like what you say though, but if you have a subconscious pattern that thrives in shame and guilt in what we call survival frequencies, right? If you just survive there. So you have to look at awareness levels.
Yeah.
Okay. So money is a product of who you are.
Yes.
Right. Why is it someone makes a lot of money, someone doesn't? It's not intelligence.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's awareness.
Absolutely.
So people who live in poverty, they're only aware to the level of poverty. So all they can think about, all they know, they don't know that they don't know the rest. All they know is I'm fucking hungry and I'm thirsty, and that's all I need to get. I need to get a shelter a roof over my head. But then you have the working class. Working class, they kind of treat their life like a mental stamp in, stamp out. Right? They go to work, they stamp out, and then they live with a beer or Netflix or neighbors or whatever.
Yes. Yeah.
Then you have, and this is 10% of the population. Then you have middle class. Middle class is 70% of the world's population. And those are the most self-deceptional and delusional people that exist. And if they're listening right now, they'll be like, no, I'm not. But you are. I was.
Yeah.
Why? Because there's also upper class and world class. Now, middle class people, the thought of becoming world class has crossed their mind. Like they have been thinking about the life with the Lamborghini. They have been thinking about the 2 summer houses in, exotic locations. They've been thinking about having a lot of fucking money, but they don't really have any intentions of going there. So their actions does not match their desires. But that truth is too hard for them to accept. So what do? They become delusional and self-deceptional. Yeah. So they say, I work as hard as I possibly can. There's no way I can work harder.
Yeah.
It's easier for them to say that than to face the fact, no, you just don't want to pay the price. Then you have the upper class awareness. They play not to lose, which is a very hard place they're very intelligent, they work hard, and they have big dreams, and they also take legit actions towards them. But they are so afraid of losing what they have. So they play not to lose. And those are the ones who suffers the most, because they're constantly worried and they die of stress and heart diseases, and they have a really hard time being there because they come from scarcity.
Interesting.
Then you have the world class. Those guys, so upper class are ego driven, world class are spirit driven, and they play to win. They don't give a fuck if they fail. They know they learn because they just want to master their craft. Money's not important for them. They just want to be their best at what they do. That's what they live for. Yeah. And I call them also the river people and the goal people. So upper class people are goal people. All right. So they are masters in putting up a goal and milestones and to-do list and fucking reach it. They can do that. But sooner or later they run out of goals. Right? The river people, they just want to find a river in their life. If that's a doctor or chemistry or children or whatever, art, music, fitness, online coaching, you name it. And they just want to swim in that. They just want to wake up every morning and swim in that river. They just want to enjoy the river, explore the river, and just be with the river. Right? So that's their awareness levels.
Interesting.
So money is a product of who you are, which is why it's so underestimated to pay a fucking mentor who has gotten up to a level of awareness where you haven't been. Why? Because this guy have permanent perspectives that you can't get to that level unless you get the perspectives.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you feel like, because the one thing you spoke about, and you still speak about quite regularly, is the concept of vices. And I actually loved your definition a lot, because what was the definition? Is it when anything that pulls you away from purpose, right?
Yeah, a vice is anything that you use or run towards that pulls you away from the things you know you should be doing.
I love that. That makes a lot of sense, because obviously vice can be this. It could be this.
Anything
right?
that pulls you away from what you know you should be doing. So your body wants comfort and pleasure.
Yeah.
Your soul wants greatness. And your body has vices and your soul knows.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's why you're like, fuck, why did I do that? Jesus Christ. And then I promise I won't do it again. And here you are, you're bored. And when you're bored, you give birth to desires and vices jumps.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why when a man is bored, he should build.
Yeah. That's like kind of dives into the question as well. Cause like, would you, and I'd love to hear your perspective, but do you feel like people are actually going to be pulled away from purpose right now? And then why do you think that's so? So like, it's kind of coming back to the river people. Let's just say in that scenario where they're kind of just flowing, go through the motion. They haven't got I wouldn't say a bigger picture plan. They haven't got a purpose of working towards or contribute towards or building. For people that they may have it at the back of their mind, but they're not building towards it. Why do you reckon that's so? What do you think pulls them away from that?
Nobody knows what purpose is. What is purpose for you? What is purpose of your life?
As in the actual answer.
Yeah, but I mean, it's the most hard question for people to answer.
I think for me, if I actually really had to answer that question, I think I'd say contribution to like people that have actually helped me get to where I am. Like so, mum, brother, family. Like that's kind of the root of what I do, but that may change as we get to another level. So I think that's like a floating target.
Okay,
without a doubt.
No, I like it. Okay, but that's not your purpose.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That's not your purpose.
Yeah.
Why is it that we are so many people here? What do we actually have to do to make the world a better place? Serve. Serve. We're here to serve.
Yeah.
Right now we're serving people, but people, they don't get it because we have an ego that wants. So, and it's even in the Bible, use your God-given gifts and serve others with that. So it's a one-size-fits-all purpose, and everything, my purpose is to get a Ferrari. No, that's your ego, and that's fine. It's okay to want a Ferrari, but that's not your fucking purpose. 100%. Because when you get the Ferrari, then what?
Yes.
Purpose has to be forever. And develop the absolute best version of you. Use your God's given gifts, your hands, your eyes, your ears, and serve other people with that. So God's work, real God's work, is to remove all fake thoughts about yourself, limiting beliefs. That's God's work. So you can serve as your highest possible version. That's purpose.
I love that.
For every single one of them. And I've had mentors I've paid fucking 10, 20 grand for, and their purpose models, when I got to them, at that point I didn't know as much as I do today. One guy is called Brendan Bouchard, man. He's he's one of the first online coaches in the world. Amazing guy. But his purpose formula is fucking shit. Like it was so empty and it was so rational and not soul driven. And no disrespect to it. I'm just saying I don't like it.
Yeah.
While you just study the biggest books of the history of mankind. Yeah. Purpose is right there. Take the Stoics. All it's about is to develop your character. Stoicism is about character development and then use that character development to be a better person. Stop talking about being a good man. Be one, Marcus Aurelius. Yeah. The Bible, it's just everywhere. It took me a while to get there. So purpose of life for every person does not differ.
Interesting. Never heard anyone say that before. It makes sense though.
But it's not, it's just, how can it differ? How you develop, how you have unique skills. That's a different thing. So in the old days where, there was a lot of wars and we have to protect our societies. We were smaller societies. That would be men that was being born with genetics that was automatically made for fucking warrior. Like, bro, come on, you're 6.4 and your shoulders are wider than a football field. You are warrior. Then there were people that was not born with those genetics, but that doesn't mean they didn't have purpose. Maybe they were brilliant shoemakers or brilliant sword makers or brilliant doctors. You know what I mean? So everyone has purpose.
Yeah.
But it's individual how you develop your skills. But it's one purpose.
Yeah, I love that. It literally comes back to that as well. I think that's like kind of coming back to what you said about mentors. They obviously like you take the perspective and it gets you to places, which is the best way as well. And I've kind of listened to your podcast as well, where it's like the amount you invest into mentors, I still do as well. I think that's like the thing I'd happily invest all my money into if it came to it. For you, like say someone where it's kind of like, and I think I actually love your morning routine, by the way, firstly.
Yeah.
Is I watch it all the time, is like the push-ups, the wisdom, and I think that's kind of actually got me starting over recently. I do it more sporadically in the past. I kind of use it as like a stance where it's more reactive rather than proactive. But like just dive into a little bit, because I actually adore the morning routine that you spoke about. How does your mornings arise? And also, like you mentioned studying wisdom, how do you actually put in these steps to study wisdom, and what do you know what to study, if that makes sense?
Yeah, so it all started by me realizing that I was a big fuckhead. I was a dickhead. I was treating people around me bad. I was not taking responsibility. I was running away from my own problems. And I wanted to stop that, dude. You know, I got a daughter, and for the first time in my life, I really faced myself, and I said, "Shit, I'm not proud about myself for being her daughter, father." Sorry. And I was honest to myself. If she married a guy like me, I would be fucking angry. Don't marry. And that made me mad at myself, right? Because she will not do what I tell her. She will do who I am. So I needed to change, right? So it all started there, and then it was 2 years. Like it was 2 years in solitude. And I went from, you know, weekend crazy guy, private jets, drugs, women, 10 girls at the same time, dating apps like fucking card games. You know, I was all over my flesh.
Yeah.
To just sitting with my vices and feeling the pull in me. And I figured that after 9 p.m., they're strongest. After 9 p.m., my negative self-talk came. My vices, desires came, and I said, "Fuck it, I'm going to go to bed. I can't handle it. I'm going to go to bed." So instead of me sitting there and considering and having discussions with myself, I just went to bed, slept it away. And then I decided to wake up early to punish the version I didn't want it to be. I went to war against him. So I was literally I declare war against you, Mike version 1.0. Fuck you. You're going to die. How can I kill you? In discomfort. I'm going to kill you in discomfort. Not something that would damage me or something that was beneficial, but still uncomfortable. So I started waking up 5 a.m. That was easy. 4 a.m. was kind of a bitch. 3 a.m. I couldn't function at all. And then I got used to the 4 a.m. and I didn't really know what to do in the morning. So I invested in a cold plunge because that's nasty.
Yeah.
Straight out of bed 4 a.m. into a 5 degrees Celsius or 40 degrees Fahrenheit cold plunge. It's not comfortable, but it's very beneficial.
Yes.
It's super healthy. And you're not asleep after that. So I started doing that. And then I was like, fuck, man, I'm bored in the morning. The gym in Spain was opening at 7. What the fuck should I do from 4:15 to 7? And I decided, what about reading? And I stumbled upon Marcus Aurelius' Meditations. And I was just like, it was everything I had been looking for. It was just character development. So I study character development books. I did that for 1.5 years. I still do that every morning. And I got all these new perspectives, all these new ways of living, all these new ways of being, all these new ways of thinking. And it just improved me so much. And then I went to the gym. So that's my morning routine. I wake up, cold plunge, study, gym.
I love that. How long did it take to detect that was the solution? If that makes sense. So like
quite
you
fast.
mentioned very specifically 9 p.m.
Yeah. So it was just
Just give it a shot. And then,
fuck
cool.
it.
Gotcha.
I just went. And first time it worked, and okay, it works.
Yeah.
It works.
Yeah, I like it. And that's where people overanalyze, right? I think I'm kind of a victim of that as well. It's like, right, I need to do this, or I think it's that, and you doubt yourself.
Yeah, but then there's some people who has families and stuff, and okay, hey, I'm not saying my routine. I'm just saying my self-development process. Because I also thought about this, Tasa. I thought about this. What actually good happens in my life that contributes to me serving as a good purpose for the world? Sounds grandiose. But still, that's how I thought. What good happens in my life to me to become a better father for my daughter after 9 p.m.? What? Nothing. All it was about was my desires, my pleasures, my comfort. And I said, fuck that. It's not about you anymore. You're serving. So if not me. But it's because the society has also told us a lie, man. The purpose of life is comfort.
Yeah.
That's what the society has told us.
That's what B6 isn't it? It's like stability, recurring.
No, but that's what they told us. That's why they gave us TVs.
Yes.
Netflix. Like I call it the dopamine economy. It's $1 trillion business. Porn, dating apps. 100 years ago, dating didn't exist.
100%. Yeah.
Feminism is fucked up. Feminism fucked up the image of men. And the government interrupted the father in how he should be in his own household. There's so many things that has taken the real man out in confusion, and look where it got us.
I think I might have messaged you a while back on this. It's like you made a video where it was like about how men treat their partner like their mum.
Yeah,
I think it was.
Yeah,
and I think it was like a reaction video, to be fair, but like That's really funny because I remember actually mentioning, I was like, hey, this is a very good post that kind of made me think a lot about this situation. I never used to think of that, but that kind of ingrained the belief further. And in my household is like, there's male and female roles, but we both have responsibility. Like it's not cooking and cleaning and that sort of thing. It's more like, right, we're both going to contribute. There's going to be some things that you're going to do in the obviously a choice, and obviously someone's going to provide. I think men should provide, in my opinion. I think that's where
100%.
the whole argument of like
Women shouldn't be in military, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
Women shouldn't be in police, bro.
Exactly.
Why?
Yeah.
They're not strong enough. What the fuck you gonna do with a little woman in front of a big black man? She's gonna get fucked.
Yeah.
So
1000%.
we are equal in worth.
Yes.
I
But we're not the
totally.
same.
I'm a son of a daughter, and I have a sister, and I have son of a mother. Sorry, and I have a daughter. I love women.
Yeah.
I just don't believe we're equal in function. There's no way we're equal in function. It doesn't make any sense.
I fully agree with that.
You know what I mean? But we have been told those lies, that suddenly women has to go out and find their job and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You know, I don't. Women should do exactly what they want.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to look at the stats. Divorce rates are terrible. Domestic violence is terrible. Absent fathers is terrible. And if a guy, you raised by your mom?
Mom, yes.
Yeah, me
mom.
too.
Yeah.
I had so much boy psychology in me because I never had a father showing me what a man should be like.
Yeah, it's fine. That.
So I was emotional, reactive. I was cruel. I was revengeful. I didn't own anything that was called honor and respect, which is very masculine. My mother did the best she could. But if a boy is raised alone with his mom, he's going to get into the world like a little bitch. Like that's often what happens.
Many men.
And he's gonna learn how to transform.
Yeah.
Because we operate in different frequencies. We are different.
Yeah.
That's at least what I think.
I completely agree. I think it's funny you say that because like I've had to kind of seek male figures in my life. It wasn't more so like proactive, but it was kind of becomes like, right, I'll aspire, you know, kind of like the whole thing was like aspire towards what you admire. And it's more like, right, I like this person. I kind of want to take the traits of the great and kind of adopt them. So I'm going to hire them, be around them, what I can do. And like that wasn't kind of something that I realized I was doing it, but me hiring mentors, it became to a place where I think men need men, generally speaking. I think when someone tries to do it by themselves, they haven't got leaders in their life. I think you have to like have someone that can inspire you to become great. For you, like kind of coming back to, you mentioned divorce rates and like there's like broken households. Why do you reckon divorce rates are high increasing?
Because men have forgotten what it means to keep a fucking promise. A vow is a vow, bro.
Dive into that.
The fuck?
Yeah.
Marriage is the biggest vow of your life, but we're treating it like a fucking contract.
Relationship, yeah. 100%.
So men has forgotten what makes a man a man. A man who can't trust his own word is nothing. Since history of time. And I'm saying this because I was one of these guys. I can only say this because I was that guy.
Yeah, 100%.
So divorce rates are high because many factors. But one of the greatest ones is because men do not understand how important a vow is. So if you marry a crazy bitch, bro, that's your job.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Then you guys gotta grow together. So marriage has also become romanticized. It's like, you know, women wants this big marriage, and if you don't give her a big ring and big gifts, fuck that shit. What if the guy doesn't have that? That's not what a marriage is about.
Yeah.
A marriage is the most beautiful spiritual growth two people can have that has nothing to do with materialism. But come on, look at it. You have parties before you marry, men fuck it up. You have big gifts at the marriage. It's gift and big expensive dinners. It's just expensive. It's just materialism. And then you have the honeymoon. And then it's all materialistic, created for the consumer's world.
Yes.
It's a little bit like Christmas. Like I was 2 years ago, I didn't have any money in Christmas. For the first time, I felt how much shame I had because everyone was like, oh my God, you're not buying any gifts. I felt ashamed. Who the fuck taught us to buy gifts?
Yeah, save months and months.
What is that? Where does that come from in the book of history? 100%. I think it's a place from the Santa Claus is a mix of Sinterklaas, which is a Dutch phenomena, which was quite racist. I think that was a figure that was a white guy with black elves or something. It was a completely racist concept. Yeah. And then Coca-Cola bought him and made him to this gray beard and so on, and then gifts everywhere. And now it's all about gifts.
Yeah.
But Christmas is not about that. So,
Fully agree.
there's so much in this society that just have forgotten the old traditional values, and I was a slave of that for many years.
Yeah.
That does not mean that I do not buy. I love to buy gifts, but it's kind of using shame against you to go and purchase in the consumer world.
That is a lot.
I had no money,
Yeah.
and I felt like I was a shitty person because I couldn't give a gift. But you know what the greatest gifts is to people? Presents.
Yeah.
Presents.
100%. You see that a lot, and it's like the man works, he's half present, and the women raise the household, and there's like a distance that keeps separating them. And like for you, like as in, do you feel like kind of tying into a little bit about fitness and the identity the man would have, like from a physical training perspective? Me and my wife had a chat. It was like, hey, like we're getting married now, and this is what we need to do. We need to impress each other still, as if it's still not dating, but we need to still like be trying to like push each other and obviously try to impress each other. I think that's like something we've always held on to, and hence why we've always found like it's easier to kind of overcome issues, but we wouldn't find it where the marriages make us go stale and old and we're just age as opposed to grow. But like for you, kind of like, do you feel it's important for a man to still like have that identity of his previous self before marriage as he does during marriage, if that makes sense? Or do you feel like it has to kind of change over time?
Free himself before marriage.
Like as in, let's say, so like for example, when someone becomes a mom, they kind of have a mom identity now as opposed to who they were previously. But I've always kind of, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. It's like, you're not a mom, you just got a child. And that's a different responsibility itself. But people change their identity based on season of life. But
people are fucked up. It's because we have these images about who we should be. If you're a mom, you're a mom, and you're a wife. You play all the roles.
Yeah.
And there is needs that needs to be taken care of in different. Everything has its timeline. I think the most important thing in relationships is, I used to believe, and Jim Rohn said this. I love this. I used to also believe in that. I take care of you if you take care of me. But I always ended up disappointed. Because I could take care of you and she didn't take care of me. So if I was expecting that, so I changed it. And Jim Rohn said that. He said, no, I take care of me for you if you take care of you for me. So I treat my own shit and I don't bring you my shit. And in the Bible, it also says, and I was never a man of God or anything like that. Never. I was an atheist. But I studied that, and it's so beautiful, all the teachings. And I studied Stoicism, I studied Hinduism, even looked into the Quran and Toltecs. I looked everywhere to see, and I saw all these patterns of the same things they said. But what the Bible said is that when you are in a relationship, which is marriage, when a problem arises in the relationship, instead of standing and say, rah, 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 you go on the same side. I said, this is our problem. So if it's you is the problem, how do we fix me?
Yeah.
Or if she's the problem, how do we fix you? How do we fix? That changes everything. Your team, like sometimes you have to, if you start nagging at each other, like, whoa, what the fuck are we doing? We're supposed to be a team. Yeah, but you fucked this up. I know I fucked this up, but we're a team.
Yeah.
We're a team,
Yeah. It's like you two versus the problem.
So if she's a mother, you're a team now. Let her be a mom, man.
Yeah.
If they get fat in pregnancy, okay. We're a team.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if she's letting herself go too much, you say, hey, man, we have a problem in our team here.
Yeah.
You're losing yourself. Let's fix you. Come on, man.
Yeah.
See, that's a different dynamic.
100%.
But that's so stupid. And people talk about, girl needs to have girl nights. Guys needs to have guy nights. Fuck that shit. I'm going to bring my wife everywhere. Otherwise, I don't go. If I do any boys things in the gym in the morning or at the lunch at work, and when I'm home, it's with her. She's with me everywhere.
Yeah, 100% respect that. Yeah, a lot. It's something I kind of love to hear your thoughts on this. What's your thoughts on therapy?
Say again?
What's your thoughts on therapy? Like
therapy.
Conventional style therapy?
Well, I think most therapists haven't fixed their own fucking life. So they have it all. Most of them. There's great therapists out there. Don't get me wrong. There's always exceptions, but you don't become a good life coach, therapist from a book. You just don't. You have to have exceptional empathy skills to take knowledge from a book and hundreds of clients to actually understand the pain the person is going through. And I believe that there's way too many therapists who are great on paper but shitty in work because they haven't fixed their own life. Which is why the greatest therapist of time in the old days was the wise men, the wise women, those who have lived a life, those who have gone through it. They walked the path. They know what they were feeling. They know what they were going through. and they could guide them on the path that they were walking through that helped, which is why a new phenomenon is showing up in the online coaching world. It's not life coaches anymore. It's not fitness coaches anymore. It is way of life coaches.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the path that I've done on my path is my way of life. It's my blueprint. And I can take you there. But before I onboard you, I need to know that you're reminding me of my old me.
Yeah.
If you are, this is going to help you. And there's not one road to Rome. There's many. While therapists, they are putting us into boxes. And that all started, we had Sigmund Freud, who was a pioneer in psychotherapy and all these things. And he did an amazing job. But there was a guy who was much more spiritual, and the group of men that was more in the spiritual realm, which were Alfred Adler. Mm-hmm. Nobody heard about Alfred Adler. Carl Jung we heard about, but Alfred Adler, he said, it doesn't matter where you come from. All that matters is where the fuck you're going. Just be aware. While Sigmund Freud said, all matters from where you come from. That's where it all stems. So we have to go back, and we have to nitty gritty all the fucking things and dig into it, which is a great business model.
Yeah.
Because if you constantly are reminded about your fucking problems, you're always going to come back. It's a great business model. Alfred Adler set you free, while Sigmund Freud's model kind of made you go back in loops. Not to say that was his intention, but there is a reason why they chose Sigmund Freud in the therapeutic system, in the psychology system, in the even medicine. Medicine is also shit. We just kids with ADHD get pills. What the fuck? So Alfred Adler and Carl Jung, who were more spiritual and perspective orientated, they actually healed people extremely fast. So yeah, I wrote an entire chapter about that in my book.
So I'm actually looking forward to reading that, by the way.
Yeah.
So that'd be insane, because I remember you sent on over to Charlie, chapter 16. And halfway through that, by the way, is incredible. So
yeah,
that's it's really good stuff. I'm really looking forward to that one.
Oh, cool, man.
For you, like, I always love asking guests this question. What's a topic that you've always wanted to speak about, you never had the platform to?
Oh man, I speak about everything on my own. Yeah, no, I say the truth. So I took a decision to talk about the truth. So I don't think there's anything I haven't said. I had a mentor. He said, if there's something that is embarrassing for you to talk about, talk about it.
Yeah, 100%.
So I came clean with all of mine. It's like a little bit like Eminem in the 8 Mile, where he just dumps all of everything that this guy could say about him. So he can't say anything.
There's a really good saying in that, is like, embarrassment is the least sought through emotion.
Correct.
And did you find there was a bit of friction between that, and how did you overcome it?
Oh yeah, that was very difficult for me to admit all these things. So first I had to conquer myself and know that I wasn't that guy anymore. So it's called detachment. Like, for example,
yeah, I got you.
If I call you, like, I'm taller than you, right? And I could imagine that you not being so tall is something that have annoyed you. Most people has been annoyed about that.
Yeah.
Which is normal. So if I came and said, look at you, shorty, what the fuck you think? You'd be like, that would annoy you. That would trigger you, right? If I said something like that. Because that you still have that attachment to it. But what if I called you a blue car?
Yeah, what does that mean? And
you'd be like, are you on mushrooms?
Yeah,
what the fuck, bro?
Agreed.
Because you're not blue. You're not a car.
Yeah.
But if I say something that you have believed you were, now you are attached. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So detachment is when you just know that you know what you are, and thereby you know what you're not.
Yes.
So that's why I stayed so true to my own word for such an intensive long period that I knew exactly who the fuck I was. And then I could talk about myself because I knew that wasn't me anymore.
I love that. It's kind of common to have it where people overcome something and speak about it. Is that what you did? Or do you feel like you did it in the midst of it?
Say again?
So like, oftentimes, let's say someone's struggling, they would speak about the fact they struggle after they've overcome the struggle. Is that what you did, would you say? Or would you say you're kind of doing it during it?
No, it was just difficult for me to go out and say, hey, I sniffed a lot of cocaine and I cheated on a lot of girls. And because I had an identity connected with my business imperium that I built. And I felt, oh, man, I can't say that because I still believed I was that guy. Because I was still doing stuff that broke my own promises. I was still chatting sexy with girls on, I was still doing things that I wasn't proud about. So when I stopped doing all that, And I did that for a long enough time, and I separated. Then I was ready to talk about because I knew that if I talk about the problems that I have in so many perspectives and angles, people who have the same problems will listen to me, and they will kind of not assume I have the solution because I know the problem so well. So instead of giving them solutions, I gave them the problem instead.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do agree.
So do I talk about me struggling still? Yes, I do.
Yeah.
But I don't struggle so much. I literally don't struggle so much.
Love that. Yeah. That's powerful.
I've made a lot of peace. So when you have had so many millions and you get stripped down to nothing, you kind of...
Yeah, 1,000%. It's kind of like, it's an interesting debate because I feel like that's personally for me, I almost need to like, that's kind of like a blind spot I've been putting pen to paper with, is like, what truth do I need to speak, or what am I actually not spoken about?
The things you have been avoiding for such a long time. Things that you're so embarrassed about. But then when you talk about it, you probably have people around you. So I also had to make amends and shit. I have many people. I called many people, even my ex-girlfriends. I called them when I was ready and said, you know what, that time I'm so sorry. And I was so sorry for it. I'm so sorry that I put you through that. And, you know, we cried together, and I gave them a real, I can't even cry now. I even gave them a real apology for that. So I faced it. So, you know, that's what my 6 steps they do.
Yeah.
You know, my 6 steps to really kill or reset, kill your self-sabotage. Step 1 is wake up. That's where you come clean with all your shadow sides. And that's where you make amends. Because that's power, that's fuel, because you need awareness to know what to stop.
Yeah.
And then you need rage to go to war against it.
Yeah. I think because I've kind of dived into your model as well from your content, I think it's insane. Like, it's changing lives. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And like how, you know, it's not, you kind of said it earlier about theory versus practitioner, the therapist angle. And like, you kind of in the week, you're still doing it, which is the best part. And like, that's obviously now going to like to evolve and help other people as well. Like Charlie speaks about it all the time. You probably heard him say it all the time as well. But like, generally speaking, it's kind of like what you're doing is powerful. And I think that's what we need more of, because I don't think I've seen anything. Either I've seen people do it, but it doesn't come off congruent in a sense, or I've never been able to take that advice away, if that makes sense.
No, it makes sense. It makes sense. But listen, so if you don't do this work, inner work, deep inner work. So I come across like a guy who has a lot of confidence. I have a sick ton of confidence, and I have a sick ton of self-worth. But I didn't always have that. I actually had high confidence, but no self-worth, which is why I came across like an arrogant idiot. But I figured, why is it that I don't have confidence or self-worth? Well, I figured, okay, every time I get an idea of stuff that I know I need to change or need to do, or I get a thought, shit, I shouldn't have done that, and I don't correct it, I was breaking a promise to myself without knowing it. Like, in the moment I'm exposed for an idea, I need to do this, and I don't do it, I rationalize or postpone, then that's a promise I'm breaking. So I lose self-trust, because we're constantly in here. Like, if you have dreams and goals, if you say, I need to talk about this on my Instagram, and you don't dare to do it, you break a fucking promise.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, and that makes you insecure, because self-confidence is just self-trust. And, you know, if you keep doing that, you don't value yourself high enough. You're like, I can't trust
small.
it.
It takes hits all the time, doesn't it?
So if you keep your promises all the time, when you start small in areas that doesn't really demand much, it's just like, don't eat that fucking shit, don't do this, wake up this time, things that's manageable, then your confidence is going to grow, and then you're ready to take the bigger ones. And that's what I did.
That's powerful. Hey, here we are. It's been a blast so far. I've actually enjoyed this a lot. I feel like it speaks for ages, and I know there's probably someone who wants to get indoors. For you, like, I kind of like to finish off with this question as well. Like, let's say someone's listening to this right now, and they're delaying themselves, and they know they're capable of more, but this, for some reason, they can't get out of a sticky situation. What would be your advice for them?
Buy my book. Buy my book. Man up. Stop breaking your own promises. I promise you, everything is there. Yeah. My clients, or my students, I call them, they pay me thousands of dollars to help them. It's all there for free in the book. All the steps, everything is given away. So if they're sitting there and they're getting in their own way, this book is going to unlock that, like, completely. And also, there's 2 ways you can coach people and help people with that. And I figured because I've coached a lot of people, I think I've coached more than 5,000 people, like, not in the current model that I'm using, but in fitness coaching as well. Yeah. And you can try to remind people who they are and how great they are, how much potential they have, and how, yeah, you can do this, bro. You can do this, but they might not believe you because they have their own belief systems, right? So you can try as much as you, but they might not believe you. Maybe for a little while, but then they sit alone home with themselves, and then they start to ruminate in their own stuff. So the first way doesn't really work. The best way is by having people to remember who they are, by you demonstrating it for them so they can see themselves in you. Constantly see themselves in you. That gives them power. Your light becomes their light. And that's what I'm doing.
Powerful. It's a pleasure to have you on. It's a
Thank you so much.
today. It's massive.
Yeah,
I like to speak for ages, and I think what you're doing is, like I've said like multiple times, but it's an absolute asset to many people's lives. And I've seen the testimonials, see the reviews, like it's godsend.
I appreciate it.
Thanks
Thank
for
you so
everything.
much. Thank you so
Means the
much.
world. Thank you.